All right, so today we're going to break down a pretty complex system of conversational influence known as speed seduction. Now, let's be super clear up front. This is not a how-to guide. Not at all. Think of this as an analytical deep dive, almost like we're taking apart an engine to see how all the pieces are supposed to fit together and work. And right off the bat, this quote from the source material kind of throws a wrench in a common stereotype, right? The idea that to be charismatic or cool, you have to be distant and aloof. The whole system argues against that. It says real cool isn't about being cold, it's about being calm, confident, and actually present in a conversation. So, before a single technique is even mentioned, it all starts with this one core idea, the foundation. And that idea is this. This is not about learning a bunch of clever lines. The whole point is to completely reprogram the way you communicate, to create a massive internal shift in your mindset. And this slide really nails that core difference. On the left, you've got the memorized trick. That's what the system argues against, because it feels fake, it's like you're performing, and it just creates anxiety. The goal is what's on the right, the integrated skill. The whole idea is for these techniques to become so natural that they're just a part of who you are, something you do without even thinking about it. Okay, let's get into the first practical layer of this pyramid, the actual mechanics of how you speak. This is all about how you sound, even before we get to the words you're actually saying. So, vocal delivery gets broken down into these three pillars. First, voice tone. The idea is to speak from your chest to get this deep, relaxed, powerful sound. Second, you've got pacing and pausing. Varying your speed, throwing in pauses to create some drama and intrigue. And finally, energy. You got to deploy some passion and enthusiasm so you don't sound flat and boring. It's really about building a captivating voice from the ground up. All right, now we're getting into some real psychological territory. Level 2 is the language toolkit. We're talking about specific verbal tools that are designed to essentially bypass someone's logical brain and talk directly to their subconscious. First up are what the system calls trans words. Think about words like suddenly, realize, or find yourself. The theory is that for your brain to even understand what suddenly means, it has to kind of simulate the feeling of it. It forces a little emotional response, sneaking past the logical filter for just a second. Next, you got weasel phrases. These are basically conversational softeners. Using a phrase like, if you were to, or what's it like when, lets you bring up a more intense or provocative topic in a way that feels hypothetical and less direct. It's a way to test the waters without causing resistance. Then there are embedded commands. This is all about hiding a direct command inside a normal-sounding sentence. So you might say, it's really easy to feel excited about this. The idea is that the conscious mind just hears the whole sentence, but the subconscious mind picks up on that little command buried inside. It's a way to plant a suggestion under the radar. And this is where you see how these tools get stacked on top of each other. In a technique they call easy linking, you pair positive ideas with words like this and a little gesture toward yourself. Then you pair negative ideas with words like that and a subtle gesture away from yourself. The goal? It's literally a form of conversational conditioning, trying to subconsciously link all good feelings to you and push all the bad ones away. So once you have the tools, you need a strategy, right? Level 3 is the grand plan. This is the model for actually steering a conversation from pretty much any starting point to a very specific, predetermined destination. The whole navigation system is built around this idea of a topic turning point, or TTP. It's basically the idea that at any point in a conversation, any topic can naturally pivot to a handful of other related topics. So, talking about a dog, for instance, could pivot to talking about loyalty, or responsibility, or unconditional love. The goal is to consciously choose the pivot that moves the conversation where you want it to go. And this quote just nails the philosophy here. A map is rigid. If the conversation takes an unexpected turn, a script or a map is useless. But a compass always points you in the right direction. So no matter how lost you get, you can always use it to navigate back towards your goal in real time. And that compass basically guides you through 3 stages. Stage 1 is just general vibe control. You steer any topic towards things that are fun, positive, and interesting. Then, stage 2, you go a little deeper. You shift toward topics that really engage emotions and imagination. And finally, stage 3, you guide the conversation into that more advanced territory, the romantic, fascinating, and seductive themes. But it's not just a straight path. The system has this concept called conversational fractionation. The idea is you deliberately go into those deeper emotional topics, and then you pull back to something light and casual. You repeat this cycle, going deep, then coming back up. The theory is that this builds comfort and actually makes the deeper topics feel even more intense and intriguing each time you go back to them. So, after all this, the mindset, the voice, the tools, the navigation, where's this whole pyramid of influence actually supposed to lead? Well, it's all designed to guide a conversation to one very specific destination. And that final destination is what the system calls seduction-oriented topics, or SOTs for short. The name is pretty self-explanatory. The entire goal is to talk about themes that are inherently designed to get someone thinking and feeling in a romantic, sensual, or seductive way. Now look closely at these examples. This is the key. These aren't objects or events, they are themes, abstract ideas like connection or taking chances or indulgence. The psychological play here is something called state elicitation. The theory is, if you can get someone to talk in detail about a feeling, you can get them to actually feel that feeling in the moment. Of course, you don't just walk up and say, "Hey, let's talk about surrendering to feelings." That'd be incredibly weird. So the system uses everyday topics as pathways, these bridges it calls SOTXs. So check out this table. You start with a totally normal topic like pets. You pivot that to the experience of connecting with a pet. And from there, it's a really small step to the bigger abstract theme of connections. It's a structured formula for turning almost any conversation into a seductive one. So after deconstructing this whole blueprint, we're left with a pretty big question, aren't we? Is this a system for creating genuine connection, for learning how to speak a more powerful, emotional language? Or is it just a very sophisticated formula for manipulation? I suppose the answer really comes down to the intention of the person who's actually using it.